Vaughan, how are you doing? Why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, and why don't you tell us why it is that we're actually having this presentation today? What sort of information are you looking at sharing with myself and the viewers today?
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Jesse. Well, we're here today to chat a little bit about Orgonite and some of the sort of deeper scientific principles around Orgonite. I've been going down the rabbit hole quite deeply in terms of trying to figure out some of the science behind it. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of disinformation as well. But yeah, we're just going to have a look at some of the benefits of it and just share some experiences from our side, from people that are actually producing the Orgonite.
Okay, cool. So some people are just quickly asking, they're saying, what happened with today's stream, One Truth? Guys, I tried to upload it. YouTube would not let me upload it. It would not let me process it. It was just not happening. So I'm going to try re-upload that, and you guys will be able to watch it pretty soon. Okay, Vaughan, so why don't you go ahead and flip up this presentation that you've gone ahead and prepared for us.
All right, great stuff. So we're going to be going through a little bit of the science behind Orgonite. I think it's important that we have a look at what Orgonite is first. Man-made metaphysical substance crafted from resin, metal shavings, and quartz. That's said to balance bioenergy or subtle life force. This energy is widely known as prana, organ, chi, or indeed the aura. So this etheric energy that is around, I mean, on your previous video on what's happening in the Earth right now, you mentioned a lot of concepts. I would urge any of your viewers to go back that haven't watched that video and go and have another look at it. Some of the concepts you covered during that video were that frequency affects our consciousness, that the Schumann resonance, the frequency, electromagnetic frequency, magnetic frequency of Earth has implications on our physiology, our neurology, our consciousness. This is all wave frequencies. So one of the things you did
Oh,
there
Vaughan, you're also on
was
the
a
screen. Just remember, I'm switching between. You're busy like,
you're
yeah,
switching
you're
between.
busy like, yeah, it's all good. Just remember that. You're still looking at the camera. Okay, cool. So, yeah, okay, that's interesting. So, I did do the live stream. I was talking about all sorts of energies. Based on my research, I definitely do have come to the understanding that there are metaphysical factors at play with the current changes that are happening right now within regards to consciousness. And you've just gone ahead and said, Vaughan, these are observable changes that are happening on a physiological level, or neurological level, and even on a DNA level. So what
One of the beautiful
yeah.
things is that sort of all of this has previously been considered sort of pseudoscience, and that the general scientific population is actually now picking up and following us along these sort of paths.
I see, yeah, definitely. So okay, cool. So yeah, why don't you just get into more? So basically, Orgonite, guys, is this over here. It's a combination of organic and inorganic properties. I was actually gifted this by Tercia, who's Vaughan's husband. I mean, wife. Sorry about that. It's 2020. Anything's possible, guys. And
Absolutely.
essentially, this is basically a compromisation of, as I said, organic and inorganic. What materials are in here? Uh,
Okay, so the resin acts as the sort of natural side of it, and then it's important that there are metal shavings as well as quartz crystal included in the orgonite. So there's lots and lots out there about how people are telling you that certain orgonite isn't orgonite. As long as it's got those three basic principles in it. I'm not sure, can everybody see the presentation that I've got in
yeah,
front
I'll just
there?
switch to that now.
Okay, so there you'll see a basic side cutaway view of what Orgonite looks like. It essentially behaves as an energy filter. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into it a little bit later. But the Organites, something that is grossly misunderstood about Organites is that people think that the piezoelectric effect of it turns it into sort of a continuous battery. This is not entirely true, as we're going to get to discover a little bit later. Um, Sorry, I've just got a bit of sound here in the background that's throwing me off a bit.
It's all good.
Okay.
Is there a YouTube video on the back or something? Where is that sound coming from?
Um, yeah, I know it seems to be coming from one of the other rooms here in the house.
Okay, it's all good. So Vaughn, what is the importance of people actually understanding metaphysics right now, and particularly orgonites? Like people that are just tuning in right now, they might be, what the hell is orgonites? You know, to be honest with you guys, I had no idea what orgonite was until I'd met Tercia and you, because Tercia actually goes ahead and makes this. In fact, she made this right now. I'm gonna go ahead and play a video for you later of showing Tercia actually going ahead and making this, but in your opinion, like, what is the value and importance within regards to this right now?
Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of value in it in terms of keeping us in healthy stead. It mitigates the sorry, excuse me. Mitigates the harmful effects of EMS radiation. Turns negative energy into positive energy, which is a grossly sort of simplified view of what it does. Some of the controls we've done, we've seen how it helps plants grow better. It repels pests. Um, it basically also just balances the energy in any environment that it's in. So it turns a lot of this negative energy that we have around us, caused by the advent of electricity, caused by these 4G, 5G towers that are all the way around us. And it essentially turns erratic waveforms into much calmer ones that are able to be sort of accessed better by the human body.
Dead and positive energy. This is observable energy, correct?
Yes, it is observable energy. So one of the analogies we always like to use is it comes down to positively charged and negatively charged ions. So positively charged ions are not good for the human body, or not good for any living thing, that is, whereas negatively charged ions are. So for instance, after a huge thunderstorm, you're always going to feel better, feel calmer. That's because the storm itself has brought some of those negatively charged ions down into our atmosphere.
So, from what I understand, is that these negative ions are quite representative of the natural energy that nature gives off, and that's what keeps us in our
Uh,
natural circadian rhythm, which keeps our body's electrical
Absolutely.
nervous system functioning accordingly. And right now, I mean, I'm sitting in front of like two screens. You can't see it. I have a lot of electricity around me. You can imagine there's 5G up. There's electricity running through the house. There's electromagnetic energy all around me, right? And what that's doing is actually knocking me out of the nature's natural ions, natural available ions, which are similar to that of walking on the earth with no shoes, right? You're actually allowing that conductivity to take place for that natural electricity to come off the earth and positively affect you, keep you in your body's natural circadian rhythm. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So the grounding that you're speaking of over there, Orgonite is exactly that. It grounds you. It helps sort of mitigate the effects of all of those positive ions caused by all of this electricity that surrounds us.
So what I understand is that so this basically it's supercharged because there's crystals in here as well, right? So if anybody understands, every alloy, every crystal gives up its own vibrational signature. And if you don't believe that, if you have a telescope right now and water samples, we can go ahead and prove that different alloys give off different vibrational signatures, and we can go ahead and absorb how it affects the structural components of water under microscope. So this is facts, right? This is an opinion that we're speaking about. So from what I understand, you've got this combination of all these varying different electromagnetic signatures within these various alloys, and then because it's compressed with resin, it's actually supercharging it. And in a sense, it is a bit of a battery, but not an actual battery, but a battery in the sense that nature's natural energy within these alloys is being amplified. Correct?
Absolutely. Well, what metals inside of the orgonite actually do is, and this is common of any metals, you can go and see any scientific study on this, is they draw in electromagnetic energy. So whether it be positive or negative, the metals by the composition themselves are actually what draw the electromagnetic energy in.
I see. So yeah, that well, so it draws it in. So it draws already existing available energy around the environment, or is it not actually the?
Absolutely.
But it also has its own energy, correct? Because at the end of the day, these natural alloys are giving off their own natural vibrations, right?
Yeah, so those natural bright vibrations from a metal perspective are is what's actually pulling in the positive energy, the negative energy, all of it. What the orgonite does though is once that matrix actually draws the energy in, is through the natural dipoles within the orgonite and with the sort of crystalline structure of the quartz. That's something that's very important. We need to remember that quartz needs to be in every single orgonite piece. So the quartz assists in sort of restructuring that energy and putting it out in a more positive way.
So it's funny that you mentioned quartz because quartz and water are practically identical in the way that they absorb surrounding electromagnetic energies and amplify it. And this is why quartz crystals was used in initial Packard Bell computing technology and still used to this very day within these hard drives that we have in our computers, because these crystals actually have the ability to actually receive, contain, trap, and transmit information. So is the quartz crystal doing the same thing? When you say restructuring, what exactly is it that you mean?
All right. So when it's restructured, so you've got erratic waveforms, which would be sort of waveforms like that, and then you've got waveforms that are more positive, well, specifically for living things. That is a much sort of slower sort of waveform that can penetrate our bodies without hurting us.
So these erratic waveforms, are we talking about high vibrational, already existing high vibrational spectrums of energy, or are we talking about artificial, like let's say 5G? 5G is millimeter wave technology, so it's supercharged electricity essentially being shot across. What sort of erratic frequencies are we talking about here? Are we talking about?
While
Yeah.
anything, so with the discovery of the electrical generation, we've inadvertently discovered a way to disrupt the etheric field of the world. So yeah, it's all the man-made
It's
stuff
a
that we're talking
man-made.
about.
Okay, so we're talking about man-made high frequencies. We're not talking about naturally existing high frequencies.
Yeah, no, we're talking about man-made
So,
frequencies
so
altogether.
these high frequencies essentially are. I mean, it's safe to say that they're doing all sorts of stuff to our body, particularly within regards to our electrical nervous system, and they're actually knocking us. I mean, a lot of people have gone ahead and said that quite potentially the 5G is being linked towards this coronavirus. And I definitely can go ahead and believe that because it makes absolute sense. I mean, what the hell do you think is going to happen if you put high density, high frequency radiation into the air? What do you think is going to happen? You know?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we're 70% water. So everything around us is made up of a high concentration of water. So the theory is that the water is actually the conduit of prana or chi or organ or any of these things. So what those frequencies do is they disrupt the actual formation of the water molecules. So it breaks those water molecules down into positive hydrogen molecules and negative OH ions.
Okay, so I mean, what are the repercussions of that exactly?
Well, what it does is it effectively removes the water from the water molecules from the area that it's in. And the positive life force then doesn't have anything to travel along.
I see. So it's actually ruining your body's natural state of conductivity.
Absolutely. Well, and natural states of receptiveness to the electromagnetic fields around you, to the good
Well,
ones.
that's what I mean, conductivity, right? So it literally is hitting you out of whack. It's almost like reprogramming your body's electrical field to be more susceptible towards these artificial frequencies as opposed to these naturally existing high frequencies that you'd find particularly in nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So what the Orgonite then does is that it kind of recycles those hectic sort of waves into something that's better absorbed by us naturally.
And to be honest with you, we actually don't know the full extent of the negative repercussions of these synthetic vibrational frequencies within our environments. We have no idea. I mean, we do have sort of an idea because after radio wave technology came along, we did see an increase in sort of diseases and sort of all sorts of negative repercussions within the body's electrical nervous system. But we're not completely sure because the research out there has been completely convoluted. Although I do believe there's a lot of independent research out there that has shown a correlation between these synthetic vibrational frequencies and these negative health deficiencies we're seeing exist today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we tend to forget that the advent of radio and all of our 3G, 4G, 5G, all of these waves that we've been pumping into the air, even since the sort of introduction of electricity into our world, into every household, that there was no real proper scientific testing done in terms of how that was going to be affecting our circadian rhythms.
Yeah, I mean, I actually read a book. It was written by some lady who used to work in the UN, and she actually she had to leave her city, and this is what we call electromagnetic hypersensitivity, where there is a proportion of people out there that are more susceptible towards being negatively affected by these synthetic vibrational frequencies. So much so that they actually have to leave cities and they have to leave anywhere with they call it electromagnetic smog. Are you familiar with electromagnetic
Yeah.
sensitivity?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of the things that Orgonite really does help with is that electromagnetic sensitivity. And you can break it down to a very simple thing. I mean, if you go out into nature, we kind of automatically feel better once we're out in nature. I think that's true of everybody. So we need to start looking at the whys. Why do we feel better when we're out in nature, where we're out of all of this electromagnetic smog, or electromagnetic sort of frequencies and things that we're not in range of, we automatically physically start feeling better. So it's about looking for ways and means to sort of minimize the effects of the EMF and EMR on our bodies.
I'll tell you what. Once this lockdown happened here in South Africa, I had noticed. Number one, we had both noticed that they were setting up 5G. You know, how convenient. Number two, I
Yeah.
noticed I was getting acute headaches. Now, I never get headaches. I'm very healthy because I meditate all the time. I keep very healthy. So, for me to get sick is like, it's really rare. And I have to look into why I'm getting sick because that means my energy is out of whack. My energy is out of sync. So, for me, it was very weird to see these acute headaches when I would never ever get headaches. And I actually went ahead, I put a status out there on Facebook to ask who was getting these headaches as well. And I think you saw that status, didn't you? There were a lot of people that actually responded that were actually saying that they were getting very weird headaches that were out of the norm.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of factors that can come into it. I know in that last video of yours, you covered the stuff that's been happening with the Schumann resonance as well. It kind of brings us back to the point that we are all electromagnetic beings. So anything that's affecting those electromagnetic fields is going to affect us.
Yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, okay, sure. I can agree that the Schumann's frequency has a part to play, but I don't think it. I don't know. The headache it was a very weird headache, man. I don't know if it was actually the Schumann's frequency, but sure, the Schumann's frequency could have a part to play. You're bringing that up now. What are you bringing up in this presentation now?
No, well, I was just looking at some of the basic scientific principles around Orgonite. We will make a document available to everybody that's got sort of a way more in-depth look at all of this, some of the research that I've been doing. But it's just some basic scientific principles that we can apply to Orgonite. So entropy and disentropy, I know you covered this in that video as well. Disentropy has largely been ignored by science. It's something that Tesla would have referred to as 0 point energy. Um, without a degree in quantum mechanics, many of the reasons Orgonite would actually be working, or how it works, would actually elude the average person. So I'm no scientist. I can only talk from my own experiences and all the reading that I've done. So I've kind of put this document together based on all the little bits of information that I could get my hands on from across the internet, and some of the original works that I had found from the guy that discovered the whole orgon energy thing. Someone that was actually taken in. It was Wilhelm Reich. He was completely destroyed by the FBI in his searches. So that's a whole story for a different day.
Actually doing research studies on orgon energy, and
Yeah.
he had actually some unbelievable results. And I remember they actually put him in jail, didn't they?
Yeah, and they destroyed all of his scientific papers and said he was a quack.
Yeah, they
And
destroyed him. Yeah.
so yeah, so often the quacks of yesterday are the visionaries of the future, though. That's just kind of the way the world
Yeah,
seems to
but this
work.
is the thing, is that some people might watch us and be like, what nonsense is this? But I can assure you guys, if you do the research for yourself, I mean, I've researched into this for like 10 years at this point, and you can even repeat some of these observable scientific experiments for yourself and get yield results for yourself. And the CIA just recently released a document actually showing that we are energetic beings. This was recently uh, revealed. Because the military actually has, they have to disclose certain documents as time progresses, and for some reason, there could be some psyop nature towards it. But I mean, they're confirming things that ancients always knew. I mean, this isn't really new information. I mean, especially when you understand physicality and its correlation between the metaphysical quantum nature of reality, you do really come to understand that we all are frequency at the end of the day. And frequency has a big role to play in our health, in our consciousness, in our mind, in our thoughts, our moods, our emotions. In fact, so much so that when you measure someone's emotional, let's say their brains, their emotions running through their brain, remember, is emitting electromagnetic energy. So you can actually measure someone's mood through the electromagnetic energy being resonated through their brain. I mean, what would you like to add to that, to the reality that, look, I mean, at the end of the
Um,
day, especially for people that are maybe new towards this knowledge, how could you break it down for someone simply to understand that, look, you are an energy being. Your energy is synonymous with consciousness, thought, creativity, emotion, so forth and so on, and also Wi-Fi and these synthetic energies. But I mean, what would you share with someone who's new to this, maybe?
Look, I think what is a really, really wonderful thing is that we're seeing a convergence between the sort of original natural sciences and what has been traditionally called pseudoscience. So, from a frequency perspective, I mean, again, without a degree in quantum mechanics, it's very, very difficult to start getting into. I think everyone needs to go and do their own research and have a look. But everything is frequency, and frequency affects frequency, whether it's from a positive or a negative. I mean, you get both constructive and destructive forms of these frequencies. So it's a case of getting back to nature. Something you mentioned earlier was the keeping yourself healthy along with meditation. Something that Orgonite really, really does help a lot with is centering you and getting you into that meditative state a whole lot quicker. I don't know if you want to just bring up and have a
I'm
look.
gonna play a little video just now. Tercia, by the way, guys, you will be able to purchase. So Vaughan and Tercia, they both basically have a company called African Goddess. They create and they sell organoids. And if you go to their website after this and you put in Jesse, Jesse, as your promo code, I believe you get a discount, and also I get a little bit of that. So It would be great if you are seeing this on this channel and you want to get a discount on your first purchase, to go ahead and use Jesse, my name, Jesse, as a promo code. I'll go ahead and put that in the description as well. But before we just continue this conversation, I did go through to Tercia's house the other day, and I did film a little video. So we're going to go ahead and just play this video now real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see it for, and I think what I'll do is I will I'll share my screen so you can watch the video as well.
Yeah, it sounds good. It'll be the first time I'm
Well,
seeing
it'll be
it.
the first time both of you guys have seen it. I actually finished editing it last night. And I'll post it as a little standalone video as well. But let's do this. Actually, you know what? You're gonna have to watch it on Tercia's phone. It's gonna be a bit complicated to do this, but don't worry.
How's it, everyone? It's Tercia here from African Goddess Creations. Welcome to my studio space. Here we create Orgonite, which is a 50-50 blend of organic and inorganic materials, which keeps us safe from EMF and radiation. Each and every piece of Orgonite that I create contains the following mix of crystals: clear quartz, selenite, as well as black tourmaline, along with the addition of other crystals as I feel I would like to use them. It is very important for us to have Orgonite in our homes to keep us safe in the current world situation from EMF, radiation, and also all of the negative energy that's being thrown at us. When I started dating Vaughn, his son took one of my Orgonite hearts, because I never travel without Orgonite, and we noticed that he was actually taking this heart to school with him. When Vaughn asked him why this is, he said that it takes away his night terrors, and he was having extremely horrendous dreams. And ever since he's had Orgonite around him, he has no problem sleeping and definitely no more night terrors. The part that I enjoy the most about working with Orgonite is because I'm actually working upside down. So you're never quite sure what it is that you are going to be achieving until you get to reveal a piece and see what you've actually magically made. Okay, so safety is really important when you're working with Orgonite. Have a well-ventilated area. You need a very good digital scale because you need to measure these things properly. Always wear gloves. I use an epoxy resin, which is mixed in 2 parts. So today, we are going to be producing some tower busters. This particular resin is mixed with a ratio of 100 to 60. I can't tell you how important it is that you measure properly. Otherwise, you're going to land up with a product that doesn't set. And this is not a sticky mess that you want to try and remove from your fridge. So I went a little bit over there. If you are new to mixing resin, I wouldn't suggest that you do what I'm about to do. Use a separate container and then mix the 2 together. But just because I've been doing this for a while, I'm confident enough to do them together. Mix for 3 minutes. Be sure that you scrape everything off the sides. Mix the bottom nicely. Alright, so now we have a mixed batch of resin. To this resin, I'm going to be adding a 3-metal mix, which is brass, aluminium, and copper. I've got a nice tub of it, which is pre-mixed and ready for me to work with. There's not an exact ratio that I can give you to be mixing this, but what you'll see happen is when your mix is properly saturated, it won't easily separate. It won't separate easily once you've mixed it properly. You can see you have quite a runny consistency going here. So I'm not going to add metal, more metal just yet, but I'm going to add my stones. So I work with a stone crush and a stone powder. So this is powdered clear quartz, of which I put in 3 scoops. So we've got clear quartz, selenite, and last but not least, black tourmaline. Now you need to give this a really good mix. And just because life can be dull, and I'm a girl, I add glitter, because I can. Just some nice metal colored glitter, just to give it a bit of sparkle. And we mix that up. And we are now ready to start pouring. You want a strong plastic spoon, a muffin tray with silicone. These are being prepped for SBB coils. So today we're just going to make some quick and easy tower busters. Right, so that's one cavity filled. What I normally do is I just go in with a spatula to try and make sure that we get air bubbles out of here. Air bubbles are a thing with resin, the bane of my existence, but they do not impede the working or the functioning of the piece. So don't stress too much if you land up with a few air bubbles here and there. It's just not aesthetically pleasing. Then you pop all the air bubbles. You leave that to set for 24 hours and you're good to go. We can take a stroll outside and we can see what Kevin's up to. Right, so Kevin is going to start the sanding process. There's a lot of excess resin that needs to be removed, edges that need to be smoothed, because this will eventually be a pendant and we need it to be safe against skin. Well, the sanding process is actually a long process because we work with various grits of sanding paper, from wet sandpaper through to dry sandpaper, and then eventually the piece will go into polishing, and that's the final step. So here you can see what a piece looks like when it's finished off in comparison to a piece when it just starts out. So we have a smooth surface, no edges that can hurt. This will be a pendant once we're done with it. Okay, so here we have a finished tower buster. This is one with an SBB coil in it, as we discussed earlier. My plan to help more homeless people is to expand my business. Kevin and myself are working on a range of other products as well, home interior products. And once we get to that point, I would like to bring someone else on board, another homeless person, and start training them up. Kevin will be training that person then, and that's how we build the business. It's through building people up and giving them a sense of self-worth so that they can find their wings and fly. Kevin, can you tell me how your life has improved? In which ways your life has improved since you've been working with me?
Ja, dis heel anders. Dit het heeltemal verander. Ek voel baie bly ek het hierdie werk en ja nee, ek gaan beter aan. Die werk is baie belangrik vir my. Ek leer baie en ja nee. Ek waardeer dit baie.
So Kevin says that his life has changed in ways and that he's very grateful to have this work and that it's a pleasure to be working with me. And I just want to thank him from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. So at the top here, we've got tower busters. These are for gifting purposes. So if you take one of these and you go and bury it at the base of a cell phone tower, we'll be turning all of the negative energy coming off of the cell phone tower into positive energy. We only bury it because people will remove it from sight because it looks like something that they'd like to take home. You can also take these, put it in the four corners of your house or the four corners of your property, if you can do that, also with one on the chimney to create a pyramid of energy around your property. The tiny little hearts are perfect to put onto your Wi-Fi. We generally do the four corners of the property. And then what we do is we do the inlet water pipe going into the property, the electricity box, wherever that is situated in your house, definitely on top of your Wi-Fi or your router. Then what we do with the charging plates is we structure water, we structure food, we structure any plant medicine. Those come in the large size. I've got coasters as well for you to charge a glass of water. And we've got small charging plates for that purpose. The other items are more aesthetically pleasing items, from the spheres through to the skulls. We've got unicorn horns for children's bedrooms, even a cannabis leaf, some pyramids, and then we've got pendants and bracelets and rings for personal protection for when you leave your home environment.
Cool. Yeah, that was. I really enjoyed making that.
Well, I enjoyed seeing bits and pieces of
You
it
saw
for the
bits
first
and
time.
pieces of it. Okay. Well, Tercia, can you get Tercia on the camera for a second?
I'm gonna have to just call her. Tisha? Yeah, he's bringing you over to the
Yeah, you
camera.
gotta come, Tercia. She's gotta come. 1 second. 1 second. 5 seconds.
5 seconds. There we go.
Here we
What did you
are.
think of the video? Could you?
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, Jesse.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Tercia. Don't worry.
Thank you
It's
so
all
much.
good. Okay. Yeah. Cool video. Okay. So, you know, as I said, I didn't know anything about. I heard of Orgonite, and then I met Tercia, and then she was like, "I make Orgonite," and then I learned about Orgonite, and then she gave me some Orgonite, and I put it in my house, and after a while, I'll tell you what I have noticed. I've noticed I'm a lot more relaxed. Relationships at home with my family members are good. I feel more compelled to meditate. I feel, in a very conscientious state of mind. I'm glad. I'm very glad. I'm meditating all the time. And this was in the beginning of the year. My life's changed in a big way. So I definitely think this has a part to play. I have this in my desk, just sitting here, right here, and I got another one over there. And I got my pendant somewhere as well. So tell me your own personal experience of Orgonite. What have you noticed?
Yeah, well, this is something that I was gonna. We can get into all the scientific stuff and the entropy and disentropy and the piezoelectric effects and how we use quartz crystals in watches and electric lighters, and they make sonar possible. They do all of these things. We can get into the scientific side, but the main aspect of it is the empirical evidence. So from my own personal experience. Before we put Orgonite on my 11-year-old son Noah, I saw him in the video and some pictures over there. He was experiencing terrible night terrors. And the moment that we got a pendant around his neck, it's one of the major benefits that we're hearing from a lot of people. I recently had someone at my company get some from me. He was battling to sleep. So it's not that it just improves the quality of sleep.
Yeah.
So he's saying that he's not getting more sleep than he used to, but the quality of sleep is there. If I look at it from Noah's perspective, he's not having the night terrors anymore. My own personal experiences with Orgonite, I use the Orgonite plugs a lot in my garden. It assists the plants to grow better. In one of the control studies that we actually did over here, we plants with Orgonites placed in the soil versus plants without. The ones that had Orgonites in the soil had to use 50% less water. We had to water them half as much as we had to water the other plants. So it just kind of shows you the effect that it's having on the ambient water in the atmosphere. What's happening is these electromagnetic frequencies we were talking about before are actually breaking those water molecules down before plants can absorb them properly. So from my experience, I mean, we're actually finding it very difficult to do any sort of control studies or anything because there's so much Orgonite on the property that it's difficult.
You got some on your neck there. Have you got some around you? Have you got some of the pieces?
Yeah,
got a pendant there.
This has been with me since the moment I put it on. And then Tish also did a really, really special piece over there for me. That one's got a lizard inside who decided to sacrifice himself in the dog's water bowl. We just kind of repurposed the lizard. Yeah, so I mean, I would urge people to go and have a look, those that are interested in all the other sort of very technical scientific stuff that we've put up on the website. We've got a PDF that we can send out as well. But it's more about the empirical evidence. It's one of those don't knock it until you've tried it type of things. No one have we ever given our Orgonite to has come back to us unhappy. So it's kind of that case. If you want to just go, I'm just going to flick through.
Yeah, sure.
On the presentation quickly.
Let's bring that up.
Okay, so earlier on, I was talking about the waveforms and the wave patterns. So if you're looking at how a quartz oscillator works, it's essentially those two things in practical terms, what we're looking at over there. An erratic signal versus a lot smoother sort of signal. I'm just going to jump down. Yeah, so that's an electrical signal that gets put in. So with the crystalline structure of quartz, it makes it possible for us to do incredibly minute measurements. It makes sonar possible. It makes ultrasound possible. So ultrasound is based on quartz crystal. That's how it works. So it's all, yeah. So it's all about taking these signals and then reinterpreting them, but it's the quartz crystal that allows us to reinterpret those signals. I'm going to just jump down to, oh, sorry, one. There you go. All right, so this was an experiment that we had done in the freezer where we put some blue food coloring into water, and as you can see on the picture there on the left-hand side, it's standing on one of the tower busters as well as one on one of the coasters. You can clearly see the vortex of energy that's coming up out of the quartz. I mean, out of the Orgonite. Okay, cool stuff. So here you can see the energy that's actually being produced by the Orgonite. We've done some other sort of interesting experiments where we'll take a piece of fruit, for instance, a lemon, which would still give off voltage because it's still got live cells in it. But the moment you actually place that same lemon with the voltmeter on top of one of the pieces of these Orgonite, you can see the readings really sort of increase. So it's pushing it. I think what we'll do is we'll do a bit of a live video on one of those, or do a video that we can share with you guys on the channel. This next image is just there's, the very simple way of describing orgonite is it takes this dead orgon energy or negative energy and makes it into positive energy. When in fact, what it's doing is it's just moving those into more sort of subtle waveforms. So it's like a recycler of these erratic waveforms. So if you have a look on that image, you'll see that the very erratic waveforms that are coming from things, well, it just increases increases. It just sort of settles down that circadian rhythm that things naturally have. So it actually works as a constant energy and electromagnetic waveform recycler. That's essentially what it does. It's not that it's just going in and out and in and out. Okay, so it's one of the sort of misunderstandings I think about orgonite is people think that it's just sort of going in the one end and coming out the other end, and it comes out better, when in fact it's recycling that energy continuously over and over again. So one of those misconceptions is that it's the piezoelectric effect, which works nicely while the resin is hardening in terms of putting in tension or the solfeggio frequencies or any other sort of love frequencies into it so that it gets stuck there in the crystalline sort of structure. But it's actually electrostriction, which is a different scientific principle that orgonite actually works on.